From the last Warrant release featuring Robert Mason on lead vocal, Rockaholic. That's Sex Ain't Love, a message to you, Mr. Akin.
Why is that a message to me?
Sex ain't love.
No kidding. That's like saying air's not fire.
Right. Well, that's a song you need to put on the iPod if and when that opportune moment comes, and you have that unsuspecting female in your home.
Yeah.
And you get that message through to her.
I've already had to deliver that message once. So.
I know. That's kind of why I was bringing that up. I wasn't going to get too specific, but you get the message.
Yeah, I get the message. I have no problem with that story. Dude, I have no problem sharing any of these stories, but that one I won't use a name.
Right, I get it. Believe me, I get it.
Yeah, it has been quite the adventure the last about 3 months.
Well, I'm going to share.
What?
I'm going to share a personal story with you.
Okay, this is breaking news.
It is. It's. I'm reaching 17 years of doing the Classic Metal Show next month. It'll be January 6th. Will be the official 17th year of doing this show.
So basically, next week is more or less the anniversary.
Yeah, more or less.
Right.
17 years. 17 years of my life has been, dedicated to doing this show. And I have no regrets. This has been my constant companion for the last 17 years. This show has lasted 4 times longer than any of the longest relationships I've ever had. So,
damn.
Just being honest here.
Okay.
Yeah, look at Kim from Chicago. Wow, Neeley, you started doing this show when you were 4?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be honest. Christmas Day, just a few days ago, I turned 49 years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 49.
You are old.
It's not a problem for me.
Right.
I don't feel older. I don't think I look too much older. I think I pretty much look the same.
Except for the shorter hair.
The shorter hair, yeah. But that's just necessity more than anything else.
Right, exactly.
Sometimes business frowns on the long hair, but regardless. I'm going to share a story with you as a married man.
Okay.
In my younger years. I was married for 3 years, from the ages of 20 to 23.
Okay.
I didn't get married because I had to, or because the girlfriend was pregnant, or any one of those things. It was a choice I made.
Okay.
But it was a poor choice.
Right.
It was an ill-advised choice. I had numerous people telling me, this is not a good idea. Please reconsider.
Okay.
But
so, see, I'm going to stop you right there for a minute. At that time in your life, were you different than you are now? Because I know the guy I know would take all of that into consideration.
Yes, I was, but I was only 20.
Okay, so you just were like, fuck you, you don't know what you're talking about. I know this is the right one.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I was full of piss and vinegar. I had the world by the tail. Nobody could tell me shit. I was just, all knowing.
Right. Okay.
Today, I'm different than that. I will sit and think and reconsider and take everybody's thoughts and input into advisement, and then, make a decision. It's kind of like all the president's men,
Right.
I consult my cabinet, and when people give me their thoughts on things, I do sit there, especially people that I consider true friends. Right. I will sit there and consider their input. But at that time, being 20 years old, you think that you know everything, and obviously you don't. And I think everybody can relate to that.
Right.
So anyway, I met this girl while I was going to college in Lima.
Okay.
So that's strike one against me right there, because we have already explored the fact that Lima is a dump.
Yes, it definitely is.
And but I did meet this girl, nevertheless.
Okay.
So after a year of dating her, we decided to get married when I graduated college.
All right.
Because I thought, I got a good career coming up. I'm educated. I'm going to go make a living. I'm going to have what I thought at the time was the traditional, the wife, the 2.5 kids, the picket fence, the American dream, as it were.
Right.
But that was a big mistake. The girl that I married had this uncanny ability to be a different person in my presence, but be a totally different person around everybody else.
Okay.
So I was duped more or less because people would tell me stories or tell me things that she did or said, and I was just like, no, I never saw that. No way. Really, you ought to really reconsider this, and because this is just not a good thing.
Right.
And of course, I didn't believe anybody. So nevertheless, long story short, I got married.
Right.
Well, everything that people were telling me and warning me about came to fruition during that time. And I realized that she was what people were telling me she was.
Right. So
anyway, without getting into too much detail, I lived in, Southern California.
Right.
And we had moved out there a year after we'd been married, and, I had taken a job out there, and this was during the height of the 80s. This was, beginning of, middle of 85.
Okay.
And so this is when the 80s were kicking in, and, the Hollywood scene was happening, and, all this stuff. Not that it had any effect on the story at all. But she had this thought that because we were living in Southern California, we were going to live like what you see on TV. You
mean like a rock star?
Yeah, kind of like the Southern California lifestyle, fancy cars, swimming pools, rodeo drive,
Right.
Just the typical Southern California way of living as you saw it on TV. But at 21 years old, I'm working a job, albeit a good job. I certainly didn't live like a Hollywood movie star at all. But anyway, getting back to the story, I was this girl had a problem with. I don't know if it was insecurity or jealousy. I'm not really sure what it was. So anyway, she had been away for a week to visit her family, and when she had come back from her visiting her family, she just had an attitude toward me after she had visited her family. So I thought I'd try to smooth things over with her, just to find out what was going so wrong in her life that she was just upset, and find out how her vacation visiting her family in Ohio went, and so on and so forth. So we went out to dinner. And while we're sitting there at dinner, we get seated, and we're sitting there at dinner, and she's just sitting there not saying a word.
Oh, boy.
And I'm like, okay, how was your vacation? I don't want to talk about it. Well, how's your family? I don't want to talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what did you do while I was away? Well, I was working this week, because at the time, the job that I had, I was working 7 days straight, then 7 days off. Well, during the time she was gone, that was my 7 days working.
Right.
So I was gone 12 or 13 hours a day, and it just gave me enough time to get home, relax, get something to eat, go to bed, get up, and go to work the next day. Not that there was something I could be doing in between there.
Right.
And so I said, are you just going to sit there and stare at me with, the look of death, or are you going to go up to the salad bar? Or what are you going to do? So she gets up leaves, go to the salad bar. And I'm sitting there at the table, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, let me back that story up a little bit.
Okay.
So while we're sitting there, the waitress comes up to take the order.
Yeah.
Real perky, friendly gal. And she says, she's like, hi, my name is Flo. I'll be your waitress. You know, strangely enough, her name is Flo, the waitress. So, of course, you know, my goofy sense of humor, I said, well, how's or she says, no, her name was Vera, was her name. Vera. Did you watch the show Alice?
Yeah, Alice, right. Mel's Diner.
Right. So she says, hi, my name is Vera. I'm your waitress. I'll take your order. And I said, well, how's Mel, Alice, and Flo? And she just kind of chuckled, you know, and she goes, yeah, I get that a lot, you know, and so on. She goes, well, I'll be back, you know, to take your order. So my wife is just sitting there just staring at me, burning holes through me. And I go, what's the problem? She says, you have to talk to every girl that comes along. I said, she's the waitress. She's taking her order. So she's just staring at me, and I said, are you going to sit there and stare at me all night, or are you going to go to the salad bar? So she gets up to the salad bar, and I'm sitting there at the table by myself, and I'm thinking, oh, God, what am I doing here?
Right.
So while I'm sitting there just kind of looking out the window, you know, in that, you know, introspective way. Okay. The waitress comes back to the area, and she's kind of like bussing the tables around me and so on and so forth. And she stops and she looks at me and she goes, you sure don't look very happy. And I said, well, I'm not very happy. I said, I don't think the girl I'm here with is really happy to be with me. And she says, well, why are you with her? And I said, that's exactly the same question I'm asking myself right this minute. Why am I with her? And she just kind of chuckled, and she went about her business, and she's walking back to the kitchen area, and my wife is coming back from the salad bar with a full salad.
Right.
You know, salad, all the fixings, cottage cheese, you know,
right.
Salad dressing, the whole
plate a full plate of salad.
Full plate of salad with all the stuff on it.
Okay.
She walks up to the table, slams that plate down on the table, just bang.
Okay.
And she says in front of everybody, what did that bitch want?
What?
Just like that. Loud as you could be in the restaurant. Everybody's sitting there just eating, having, you know, a quiet meal. She walks up to the table, slams that plate down on the table and says, what did that bitch want?
Unbelievable.
And I said to her, she was just being friendly. Why don't you try that for a change? She took that entire plate of salad and she dumped it on me from my chest all the way down to my lap. Slammed the plate on the table and stormed out of the restaurant.
Ouch.
I am literally sitting there covered in salad dressing, cottage cheese, lettuce, everything in the middle of a restaurant.
So how... God, that just... now there's a lot of questions. Do you have to pay still? Do you just leave?
Well, let me finish the story. There's more to the story.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there. Of course, I'm stunned at first.
Right.
And the waitress comes back, and of course she sees this, and she's like, oh my God. She comes running over with a towel and starts trying to help wipe this shit off of me.
Okay.
And she's like, I am so sorry. She says the men's room is right over there. Why don't you just try to go over there and clean yourself? I'll get somebody over here to clean this mess up, and I'll bring you whatever you want.
All right.
So, you know, I go into the men's room. I get some paper towels. I'm trying to clean this crap off of me, you know. And, you know, of course I'm embarrassed, and it's ridiculous.
Right.
So I come back out of the restroom, and there's a busboy there, and he's cleaning up the mess, and the waitress is there, and she comes over and she's like, I'm so sorry. I just don't know what to say. Sit down here. Your order is coming up. She says, that girl that you're with, she stormed out of here. I think she's out in the parking lot. I said, just let her go. I said, I don't give a shit at this point. I'm just done.
Sure.
And so I'm just sitting there, and she goes, just sit there, whatever you need, I'll bring it to you. And so I'm just like blown away at this point.
Right. Yeah.
So within a few minutes, the wife comes come back into the restaurant, walks up to the table and stands there, and she just very cavalierly nonchalant, she says, hey, I'm really sorry about what I did.
Okay.
And I said, you know what? Sorry doesn't cut it. I said, you and I are done. That's it.
Wow.
We're done.
Holy shit. And then you divorced her?
It took a couple of months, but it wasn't long after that.
Holy smokes. Wow.
So there you are.
Holy shit.
I don't think I ever told you that story.
No, you definitely haven't. So you still were covered with this shit. Did you have to pay?
Well, yeah, I paid the bill when I left, and she and I, the wife and I, we did not speak for about 4 days straight.
So you gave her a ride home?
Well, yeah, we left the restaurant together. I didn't speak to her. From that point on, and I know you can attest to this, or you can relate to this rather.
Right.
When we got home, that started the point to where I slept on the couch until we were separated and divorced.
Oh yeah. Yep, I can relate to that.
So that's a story, that's just one of the stories.
Holy smokes. Look at you. Personal life in it tonight.
Well, I got nothing to lose. I'm past the statute of limitations to where I could get sued for, for whatever. And plus, I didn't mention
reimbursement or whatever.
Right. So that is a true story, as if it just happened yesterday.
Holy shit, dude! And you really haven't. You've had like zero contact with this bitch since, have
none.
That's amazing, man.
Absolutely none.
That to me is the most amazing part of it is, and again, you were only with her 3 years. So I mean, it's like, I can't even fathom that there'll ever be a time where I'm just like out of touch with my ex for a month even.
Well, I didn't have any children with her. It was a 3-year relationship. She went off and got knocked up by a Mexican gardener shortly after that. Seriously.
Sure wasn't a Haitian.
Could have been a Haitian. But regardless of that.
Yeah.
That's one of my sordid tales that, one day you and I are going to collaborate, and you're going to help me write my book.
Yeah, we should, dude.
But that will be a story, and that isn't even one of the worst stories in my life.
We need the worst ones, dude. We need those. You need to start coming clean here, man. You got to start sharing. You don't like doing it, though. I could tell, even telling this, you're uncomfortable.
Well, it's just like, what person in this world even anticipates this kind of a treatment, from someone you never did anything wrong to, I mean, really wrong. I mean, of course, I have my faults. I'm not saying I'm perfect,
right.
But anyway, but there was nothing that justified that.
No, of course not, dude. She was just trying to fucking prove how cunty she could be. She did.
For whatever reason, okay? But that's where I get blown away with that whole thing. It's just like, we might have our disagreements, and I might have a different viewpoint or whatever, but I just sent you away with brand new clothes, a pocket full of money to go visit your family for a week, and you come back and dump a salad on me in the middle of a restaurant.
Yeah.
That just makes no sense at all.
Well, it's because chicks are crazy.
Well, for whatever reason.
They all are.
So,
there ain't a sane one in there.
And here I'm trying to take her to dinner, find out how she is, what's going on with you. how are things, what's happening. I'm listening, and so on and so forth. And all I get is, what does that bitch want? And here's a salad in your face. So
it's just crazy, dude. I could just see, dude. And you know why that happens probably, or why that happened to you? Because you have that demeanor where you're safe to do that to,
sure.
In a way.
Right.
A chick knows that if you do that, you won't even raise up and yell at her.
No, I'm a pretty laid back person.
If that was to happen to me, a chick knows that it would be fucking there'd be plates flying. There'd be shit flying. There'd be all kinds of profanity. There'd be police called because I would lose my shit.
Right.
It's like, ooh. And don't you hate that too, dude? It's almost like you get penalized for being cool.
Right.
I mean, honestly, the dudes that are the biggest dicks are the ones that can get away with shit like that.
Right.
Or they just don't have that happen to them because their chicks are afraid that they'll fucking act out. But when you act cool, you get fucking treated like shit.
Right. Absolutely.
It sucks.
Well, Mr. E, the stranger in the chat room, says if you clack salad tongs together, Neeley goes into the fetal position.
Bravo.
Fantastic. MOL says, I know this. I have been at numerous restaurants with him, and he's still scared of the salad dressing and the cottage cheese.
Damn.
Oh, these guys are funny.
So we've made funny tonight out of salad and shoes.
Right.
What's wrong with this show?
Right. Little personal list from Mr. Aiken and Mr. Neeley.
Yeah, there it is.
Personal lives.
We're all in tonight, man. No, so much for talking about music, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
It's all good.
No kidding.